So let's talk a little bit about. We don't know if obviously know if the NBA season will resume or not. There's been some optimism. Mark Cuban came out in a report saying like, "Hey, maybe we'd start by mid-May." That doesn't look very likely now.
No.
But I appreciate the optimism from Mark, and yeah, that's all I gotta say. I appreciate the optimism from Mark.
I mean, he's happy to be back in the playoffs.
A little bit of hope, man. But if we don't have a season, I'd love to hear your vote. Rookie of the Year, MVP, and Sixth Man of the Year. And then we had Zaid do this as well. Give me your picks. Who's winning it for those three categories?
This is assuming the season's done right now. We're going straight to the playoffs.
Done, yeah. Or either.
Okay, I'll do that. Okay, in that case, I would go with Ja Morant as my Rookie of the Year. I think Zion showed promise, but you got to play the games. And Memphis would be locked into the 8th seed. I mean, I don't see a scenario where New Orleans or Sacramento could catch that and get the 8th seed unless like there's a play-in tournament or something anyways. So I'd go Morant. I mean, he's been consistent. He surpassed my expectations. I thought he was going to be much more inefficient shooting-wise, and which rookies usually tend to be, especially if they're high-usage rookie point guards getting heavy minutes. So the fact that he's gotten his team the number 8 seed and surprised all of us, he gets my pick there. MVP, I'm going to go with actually LeBron James.
Ooh.
A little bit of a surprise.
Counter pick. Okay.
Yep.
Give me a why here. I need to know.
Giannis has been fantastic, but there is this thing called voter fatigue, and I do feel like it's a popularity contest at the same time. And voters are going to be like, okay, well, LeBron, he's consistently been the best player all these years. We haven't really given it to him because we've given it around to like Harden. We've given it to Westbrook. And I think he deserves one more. It's a little bit of a cynical mentality to have, but I think his stats are there too. He's leading the league in assists. When he's on the floor, that team is fantastic, albeit Anthony Davis helps a lot. But they were the number 1 seed in the West for a really long time. And I think that just the turnaround that team had from what they had last year and what he was able to do last year for them versus this year, it is part of that reason that I think he's favored a little bit more in MVP voting. I'm just trying to get in the mind of the voters. I think he's going to get it.
Okay, that is I disagree, but I totally get the logic. And you're right, he should have won it every year. There's no reason that Westbrook should have ever won the MVP, but you're right. It is kind of more of a popularity sort of that kind of contest. It's not truly most valuable. They really should just change it to like, I don't know, player of the year or something. Mm-hmm. If it was most valuable, we all know LeBron would have probably won it the last, I don't know, probably won at least 6 or 7 times by now. But, we gave it to Westbrook, whatever. And
I think it's his time to get it.
Real quick rant. How annoying is it how dysfunctional the Lakers are, their management is, and somehow within a matter of a couple years, they're back to the I'm like, that's so irritating to me.
It's just the big market thing that's going on. But, on the flip side, there's New York.
It's dysfunctional. And now get LeBron James to show up and all your problems are solved. It's amazing. The Cavs, like literally the moment he leaves, they're in complete chaos.
It just shows like how valuable he's been throughout his career. And I think that's what's going to show up when it's time for MVP voting. There's going to be some people who say, well, this is his best chance for us to really give him this last MVP award. Because who knows? His skill might deteriorate next year going forward. Who knows? But I think the case is there. It's going to be really close. I don't think it's going to be a Giannis blowout MVP voting victory. But, yeah, that's my pick personally. I think he's turned that franchise around.
Okay. Give me your 6th man of the year.
This is a tough one. There's so many good candidates, I think.
I remember me and Zay, we mentioned our favorite was Dennis Schroeder because we like that the Thunder have been surprisingly awesome. Like, so cool. That's a cool story. He's been awesome off the bench, put off the bench all year. We know that Lou Williams could pretty much win it every year. But, man,
Yeah.
I guess I'm feeling some voter fatigue on that one. I don't want to vote for him again. Because he could have gone to another team and made more, and he just, whatever. He chose to stay and take less. And which is good for him. He's going to win some championships probably. I think with the other one, Buddy Hield, but then I think he got demoted to the bench. So I'm like,
I don't think that counts.
Give a guy who got demoted to the bench. I don't know. I can't remember what the other ones were. We decided on Schroeder, but Lou was there.
I'd probably go with Schroeder as well, just because I remember seeing the over-under for OKC, and it was like in the mid-20s.
Oof.
I remember saying, like, man, I want to place a bunch of money on this just because I know they're going to win, like, at least 30 games. Their lineup is stacked at the guard area. So, yeah, like you guys were saying, I think he deserves to be a starter somewhere else for sure, and he's been fantastic. So he's my pick as well for sixth man.
Schroeder. Dude, good for him, man. The German Schroeder.
So my question for you now is, who would you pick as most improved player? I don't think that was one of the
improved. I forgot about that one. I totally forgot about that one. Most improved. That's a great question. Do you already have someone in mind? Because
I do, but I'll go after you unless you want me to go first.
Why don't you go first? I need some time to think.
Okay. So this might be the first time this has ever happened, but I'm going to go with Pascal Siakam to win it 2 years in a row.
Ooh, ballsy.
Just because he's been fantastic. And the jump from last year to this year, if you look at the numbers, is insane. He's leading that team. Everyone's kind of sleeping on that team too.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I think
they don't really have a true star, maybe.
Yeah, and I think that team could give the Bucks a big push in the Eastern Conference Finals if we get there. I don't know if it's going to be best of 5, best of 7, but I think it's going to be a really close series, closer than people think, at least.
I'm looking at the betting odds right now for most improved player, and a lot of people came out that I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about him. Oh yeah, I forgot about him. Do you want to hear some of them?
Yeah, go for it.
We have the best odds currently are for Brandon Ingram in the Pelicans.
Okay.
Next is Luka Doncic. We have my personal favorite, Mr. Devontae Graham. Let's go Devontae, my boy. We have Bam Adebayo. That might be the one right there. Bam.
That could be. I put him number 2 probably.
Incredible. We have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander from the Thunder as well. Trae Young, who made a pretty sizable leap.
Okay.
Team. Jaylen Brown definitely made a leap. Probably not good enough to necessarily be most improved.
Yeah.
Sabonis.
Yeah, good player.
Jason Tatum, he's kind of made the leap into stardom, right? Hey, look, your boy Siakam. There, he's in these next. He's
there? Okay.
He's actually in there. Markelle Fultz, he's made some improvements as well. Jaren Jackson Jr., Luke Kennard. Luke Kennard should not be in there. That guy has barely played.
No.
Fred VanVleet, Wiggins, Davis Bertans, Mo Bamba, Alex Caruso. Come on. Joke. Aaron Gordon, that's also kind of a joke. Murray, that's also kind of a joke.
Yeah, I think you're getting into that joke area.
Their odds are like crazy though. It's like 150 plus 150,000. Some of these players are Wagner, Aaron Baines, Jared Allen, Derek White, T.J. Warren, Colin Sexton. Actually, he's Terry Rozier has not gotten better. He just has access to more stats. Norman Powell, Josh Okogie. Yeah, those are bad.
Yeah, I could definitely.
Hearing that list, are you still in on Siakam as number 1?
You know what? I don't want to contradict myself with the whole voter fatigue thing that I was talking about earlier. Although it would be really cool to see someone for the first time in history win it twice. So I'm actually going to change it without having heard that list until now to Bam Adebayo, just because I think Miami being a top 3 seed would help his case a lot. And no one really saw that he would be coming out and putting up these kind of stats and these kind of numbers and being that anchor at the center position for that team. So I'm going to make a change. Bam Adebayo. But I think Pascal will finish 2nd or 3rd.
Out of all those names, as I was reading them, when I read Bam's name, it was, oh my gosh, how could I forget? Bam! bam,
Yeah.
like it hit me. Like that guy is a freaking stud. He's definitely first round pick in fantasy from here on out.
Oh yeah.
100%. He gets my vote automatically. Even though I love Devontae, I have a lot of bias towards Devontae.
He kind of trailed off towards the end of the year, but
Traded Fox, which actually worked out well for me in my dynasty league. Maybe not for the future, but we'll see. Everyone gave me crap.
Yeah.
Everyone gave me crap because I traded in my dynasty league. I traded away De'Aaron Fox while he was hurt for Devontae Graham. More of a team build thing. I know that as a player, De'Aaron's better, but for my team build for my dynasty, it actually worked out well. I almost had a shot to win it this year. If it wasn't for the stupid coronavirus, I might have actually won the league. So kind of ranted about that last time on the Zayd, so I won't go too far.
Next year. I mean, that's the good thing with Dynasty is you got that guy. And I mean, looking back on it, I don't knock you for that trade as much. Maybe you could have gone a little more, like a pick as well. But I mean, it worked out for you. So no need to overthink it.
I gotta win it next year, man. I gotta teach those boys a lesson.
Yep.
So like literally when the full coronavirus thing, the first thing I was like, dang, I can't win in Dynasty.
You know what? I think I posted in our group chat too. Might be the iMessage one. I was like, so what happens with fantasy? Like that same Wednesday, 3 weeks ago exactly 3 weeks.
I have a feeling we'll probably end up doing what you proposed, your idea of, you want to tell everyone your idea for if we don't have a regular season comeback?
I was really thinking over this just because whenever something happens, I try to problem solve as much as I can. And it's a proposal that I shot out to the league. I mean, some people disagree, some agree. But ultimately, I think you can award wins based on a matchup that didn't finish. But everything up until this point, you can award. So what that means is we'll have 4 co-champions for both brackets, both the consolation and the main bracket. So that means the 2 division winners get their $15. And then the consolation semifinalists split the $20, I think it is, so $5 each. And then whatever's left is split 4 ways. I mean, this is unusual. We've never seen anything like this, but I think that's the most fair way to go about it. Scrapping the whole season and giving everyone's money back, it's not fair to the teams that were number 1 and number 2.
Someone in my dynasty league was trying to propose that, and I'm like, you're an idiot. Like, why would we do that? Everything up to this point, we've all played under the same rules and has been counted and been faired, and everyone agreed to it. Why would we throw that all away? Just retarded. I'm sorry, that's probably not what to use on the podcast, but
we'll cut it out.
Stupid. I was so upset when he suggested that. I'm like, and I think he was a non-playoff team, which okay, there you go, because he's getting your money back.
He's just thinking one-dimensionally from his perspective, not anyone else who actually had a good team. So
I was trying to make an argument in that league for the 4 semifinalists for us to kind of decide whether or not we wanted to sort of wait it out, but other people overruled me and said that they wanted their money. So I got overruled. I tried my best to argue to keep it alive as long as possible because you never know.
Yeah.
People in the league are pretty pessimistic, so everyone wanted to jump out. But the ironic part is we canceled, everyone got their money, payouts, but then the whole reason we did it was so we could open up trading for everyone, but then now we can't trade until mid-April in this league. So it's
so we did that, created another problem.
And now we got to wait a half a month until we can even do what we were trying to do, the purpose of ending it early anyway. So I was just like,
darn.
Frustrating. One last NBA question, and then we'll move on to a little soccer talk. If the NBA does resume at some point and we have a playoff, and then maybe it's an abbreviated playoff, so you can kind of – I'm not giving you a specific scenario in which the playoffs are going to be held under, so you'll kind of use your own judgment on this one. But if we have a playoff, maybe it's abbreviated, maybe it's not, I don't know. Who wins it and why?
The entire thing, or should I go by conference?
The NBA champion. And if you think that the season is going to be like very abbreviated playoff, then take that into account in your analysis. What like maybe a team that wouldn't normally win it would sneak in because we're only doing 3 out of 5 or some sort of shortened version. If you think it's going to go that way,
I think that's going to have an effect on who wins, and I'm going to go with the Milwaukee Bucks.
Going with the Bucks, okay?
Yeah,
not like
I think if it was,
but wanting them for the title, I feel.
Yeah, I think that'll also play a part into this is that they just have a really deep roster.
Would that hurt them though? You think maybe the people with the less deep would be benefit if it's a more of a shortened playoff? It might benefit the shallower teams.
It could. That's definitely a theory. But at the same time, I think fitness is an issue too, because we've had such a long layoff, like a month, and we might be jumping right into the playoffs, that some players might not be able to play. Even the top MVP caliber or superstar players won't be able to play 30-minute games all the time. So I think more so the break is going to have the effect rather than the number of games, just because they haven't been able to work out in their facilities or practice with some of their teammates. I think also the Bucks having the familiarity with each other from last year, they're essentially the same team the last couple of years. That's going to favor them as well going forward. But I think, that's the Lakers, I think, are the other favorite, but I just don't see it. I think that there's a lot of new pieces on that team, and they did have some chemistry issues even towards the end of the season before we got to the stoppage. I think integrating Kuzma was a big challenge. I think Rondo just wasn't the same. Danny Green wasn't looking like the Danny Green of championship caliber teams in the past. So I think ultimately Milwaukee does look like the favorite here, and I think they'll win it all regardless of how it's formatted.
Okay. Milwaukee. I'm gonna kind of go on a limb here and say that I think the Clippers still win the title this year, because I think that Kawhi and Paul will be extraordinarily healthy and probably be playing the whole game, especially if it's an abbreviated type thing. I mean, they've had such a long layoff, plenty of rest time. I could see them playing 48-minute games, especially if it's a short thing. And I think that with their team, most of their team has played together other than Kawhi and George. I know the two guys haven't played together as much. But with them playing 48 minutes and being fully healthy, not having to worry about any sort of load management or anything like that, and they can just go full bore, I think they'll take it. I think they'll win. Although
I can see that happening
super
too.
Confident in that. I think it's kind of fun to kind of.
Yeah.
You know what team I think might make a run though? They probably won't win it all, but I could see this happening. Kind of so here's another crazy prediction. I think that this whole layoff thing benefits one player in particular who always, every year, wears himself out before he gets to the later stages, and always
who is that?
Runs out of energy, and you can see it every year. It's like he doesn't, because the way he plays, he literally controls almost every possession of the entire game. You know what I'm saying?
James Harden?
Yes. I think that the Rockets, if it's an abbreviated thing where we're not playing the full 7-game series, it's maybe 3 out of 5 or shorter, I could see the Rockets actually making a run based on their lineup that's kind of crazy, that not a lot of people maybe have to prepare for. James Harden fully rested. Every year, my biggest bugaboo with him is he should be the one that's load managing. He should 100% load manage. And I
agree with you there.
Load management, but every single year you see it. You see the level of fatigue as he goes throughout the playoffs, and he wears out. He always dies out because he is so involved on every possession. You just can't sustain it. So he can get in this big break, shorter games. He can play the full game. He can do his thing where he literally has the ball every possession. Not that I'm in favor of it. I'm just telling you what I think is going to happen. I think they could be like a dark horse. They could make a run just based on their weird, crazy, small lineup that no one can prepare for, and him being able to play full games without worrying about fatiguing over the playoffs. There's my dark horse prediction. Not that they would win it. I think they would lose to the Bucks in the finals, but I think they could make it to the finals.
I can see that. It just really comes down to if their shots fall the way they're running that experiment.
It's crazy. There's my prediction. It's Rockets versus Bucks in the finals. I'm changing it up. Forget the Clippers. I'm saying Rockets get to the finals. I know this is probably crazy, but the Bucks win in the finals against them. Because there's no way they could contend with the size of Giannis.
Yeah.
And the shooting,
size and chemistry
can match them. There's no way they'd be able to deal with. Giannis would literally destroy them.
Oh yeah, he'd be walking all over PJ Tucker.
It would be something to behold. So there you got it. Our finals predictions. Hopefully we get a season back. Let's transition a little bit to the sport of soccer, the beautiful sport of soccer. Now I'm going to be real honest here, because honesty is a good thing here. I have not been following much lately. I do not know much of what's going on. I'm hoping that you know more than I. Give me who are currently the best teams in the world right now, the best countries in the world right now, before this whole coronavirus kind of knocked out soccer. Who was on top?
So I'll start with the international side. France was looking fantastic. The amount of depth that they have is just something that is unprecedented. I mean, even if you look at other countries, a lot of their players do have French citizenship. So they're a soccer powerhouse. And they were just killing it. They were clear favorites in the World Cup. I think they were favorites going into Euro 2020 as well. That's been postponed for another year. So I have France up there, and another good team, Brazil as well. Although they haven't gone very far in World Cups, they have tremendous lineup. They have a lot of younger players who are playing in the Premier League for Liverpool. Like,
who's their main guy again for Brazil?
Neymar.
Neymar.
There's always a lot of drama surrounding him.
I was watching the last World Cup. I think it was the last World Cup, or maybe it was a Euro Cup. I can't remember. No, it's World Cup. Because we haven't done the Euro.
Yeah.
We're in between. Last World Cup, I was actually rooting for Brazil. I was like, hey, I'd love to see Brazil go far. I watched one Brazil game with Neymar, literally destroying everything about soccer that I hold dear by flopping every single. I mean, I get that there's flopping in sports.
Yeah.
I've done it too. We've all done it. But to do it at the egregious level that he was, like, to me, it was like, this is why people give me crap about soccer. Because people like you who literally ruin the integrity of the freaking sport.
I think there was a stat that came out that he spent like 14 minutes on the ground or something in all the games that Brazil played. It was something ridiculous. Like, he's one of the most talented players. I don't know why he decides to, exaggerate, provoke, and all that kind of stuff. But I've seen him at his best when he played for Barcelona alongside Messi and Suarez. He was locked in, and Brazil needs that from them. And even now, PSG, there's a lot of drama with him and wanting to leave that club.
I heard that he wants to go back. Is that true? I have a Barca fan who is the other friend, the Indian friend that I mentioned. He's a big diehard Barca fan, and he said that Neymar wants to come back.
He does. They're trying to work out the logistics. I know Messi would love to have him back too. They clicked on another level when they were playing together. So we'll see what happens. I mean, there's some certain clauses where Barcelona can buy him back since it's been a couple of years. I don't know about the bylaws of FIFA. They're always changing, there's a lot of controversy. We'll get into that later. But yeah, I think my prediction is he'll end up with Barcelona sometime in the next year or two.
Maybe he'll go back to being a little bit more humble and a little bit more of who he was before. He was the big shot, Mr. Neymar. Because that is just disgusting. I'm sorry, it offended me as someone who's played soccer my entire life. I've played soccer my entire life since I was 5 years old or whatever, and it just disgusted me seeing that display.
So if you want to watch good soccer, actually two of my teams who are my top picks for Euro right now as well are Belgium, who are led by Eden Hazard, Kevin De Bruyne.
I have an Eden Hazard Belgium jersey right now in my closet because I
fell
in love with them watching them play. I was like, oh God, I loved it. Eden Hazard is my man. I love that guy. Anyway, continue. Sorry.
Before all this happened, I was debating between them and Holland was my other dark horse. They didn't make the last World Cup. There's a bit of that revenge factor, and they've got a deep team too, with stars like Virgil van Dijk in the back. They have Frankie de Jong, who just signed with Barcelona. They have a lot of that talent, and I think that would have shown up in this World Cup. Not World Cup, this Euro Cup. I'm not sure if they would have made the final, but they would have made a deep run for sure. And I think I would have gone with Belgium to be the champion. We'll see a year from now. These players are going to be 1 year older. So I'll have a fresh set of predictions then if anyone's interested.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Belgium, dude. Loved watching them play in the World Cup. So much fun. Now, what tournaments were going on? I know that soccer, I think it's kind of a con of soccer, why I'm maybe not as into it as far as following it professionally, is there's never an end to it. I was having this discussion with my family the other day where I said the beautiful thing about the NFL, the beautiful thing about the NBA is you get this break where you realize how much more you want it, like you start to crave it because you don't get it, and okay, it starts then, and then it's back. And you need that brief period of like, almost fasting from it, if you will, to re-energize your like, oh God, I want this back so bad. I'm missing this in my life. Problem with soccer is it never really ends. I know different tournaments will start and end, but there's so many different leagues and so many different tournaments that you can essentially watch Barcelona all year round with like no stoppage. And I think it's hard for me to get into it as much because I need that break. I need that break to realize how much I love you again, how much I love that sport. So what tournaments were going on during this time? Yeah, what tournaments?
So first, I want to echo that sentiment too. It's a big reason why I haven't been as interested in club soccer until more recently. It's because it's going on the whole year. Even now in the summertime, when the European teams have their breaks, they're coming to America and they're playing what's called International Champions Cup Challenge, ICCCC, whatever it is. So they're playing the whole year, and we never get a break from that. But in international soccer, the World Cup's once every 4 years, Euro Cup's every 2 years. They're primarily held in international windows, even World Cup qualifying games. So you're only playing international games in like chunks of like 2 or 3 every year. So these are huge and something to look forward to. Now, in terms of the club side and what was going on, one thing that was huge that was going on was the Champions League for all of England. No, sorry, all of Europe. These are comprised of the best European club teams, and they face off in a group stage, which that was completed before the coronavirus outbreak occurred. But then came the round of 16. So there's 16 teams left playing in elimination games, one home and one away. And the team that has the higher aggregate score advances to the next round. I remember tuning into PSG playing against Dortmund without any fans. They were playing behind closed doors at this point, and it was just really eerie. Like there was no sense of that, and European fans are known for being really loud and rowdy, having their chants. It was literally like they're playing in like an abandoned warehouse or something. You could hear the echo of the players talking to each other in various languages. I heard some French, I heard German, I heard the referee even speaking English to the players. Anytime there was a foul called, you could hear the players screaming, "No!" So, I mean, that part was kind of interesting to hear, but at the same time, it was just weird. And they ended up pausing the round of 16. Some of the matches had been completed, but not all of them, I believe. So they're still debating whether to even play those games, whether to do what the NBA is proposing, have a bunch of the players in a bubble just to finish those games. But that was a big thing that was going on. And as well, the other one was the English Premier League. Now, this is comprised of the top division of all the English teams. And there's a little bit of controversy there too, because Liverpool, who's right now firmly in first place, was one win away from securing their first championship, I want to say like 30 years, their first league championship. And in the past, they've missed out for various reasons, like Steven Gerrard slipping and giving the title away is one of the big ones. So there's some controversy there because they're thinking about maybe canceling the league. But what happens if you cancel it? Do you award Liverpool the win? Or since they weren't, they didn't have enough points to be declared the champion, what do you do? Do you play some of the games? So no one really knows what to do. They're meeting consistently. And I think ultimately, yeah, even if it means delaying next season, I think they should finish it out just because it's not fair to Liverpool, who's waited so long
Yeah.
to get that title. But those are the two big club soccer events going on. I mentioned Euro got postponed. There's a lot of World Cup qualifying that also got postponed, but that doesn't really have a huge effect on the timeline anyways, just because there's huge chunks of time in between those international windows. But yeah, that's what's going on, and that's how the coronavirus is delaying everything.
Wow. Jeez, I did not know Liverpool had waited that long to that. Hopefully, I feel like in that kind of league where someone's are like they don't necessarily doesn't work like a playoff system where you know play in like a tournament pyramid fashion where you're just already at first. If you're going to end it, you should just end it with whoever was in first at the time when you end it. That to me,
But
or like you said, like have some games play on because there's no
well,
like
also,
playoff system to be like, oh well, we didn't know because if they're on a playoff system, they're in first. Whenever you have to end it, that they should be the winner. I mean,
there's also more than that though, because in in the English Premier League and a lot of European leagues, they have promotion and relegation.
ooh,
So teams from the second division are trying to come up, and teams from the first division might be bumped down. So there's what do you do about that? And this is uniform across Europe. It's not just in England. You have to think about also the second, the third division teams and their
hey,
relegation and promotion battles. What do you do with them?
they should have been in a better position. I will say I would love for the one day the NBA to adopt relegation in some way. Maybe if the G League ever got big enough to where you could take a G League team. I know the logistics behind this would be nuts and it's probably not set up
Yeah.
for this, honestly. But if there's any way where you could relegate an NBA team, that would destroy tanking. Tanking would
Oh, absolutely.
tanking would be gone because there would be so much financial incentive to like not even flirt with losing. If you even
Oh, yeah.
flirt with losing and then something happens, a couple injuries happen, and then everyone else is like not wanting to flirt with losing because no one is scared. Everyone's scared of getting relegated. Tanking would be gone. Wouldn't even be an issue anymore. And you'd get some great end of season games. You'd get
Oh,
some
yeah.
fantastic instead of the last month of the NBA regular season being like mostly garbage, other than a few playoff matchups, kind of see where they stack up kind of thing, with like really nothing at stake between these teams that are both trying to lose. Imagine the tenacity that the Orlando Magic would fight with against
Charlotte.
the Phoenix Suns or the Charlotte Hornets when they're both like 2-1 for like who is going to get relegated. You would get some drama, some fantastic drama.
Same
And
within the G League. That would be fun to watch too. Seeing the main Red Claws and or I guess Stockton Kings go at it to see who's moving up.
who gets to just survive? I think
Yeah.
yeah, there's too much stagnation at the end of an NBA season where nothing really matters and there's nothing really at stake other than a little bit of playoff positioning here and there, or maybe there's a couple of teams fighting for the A seeds. There's some interest there, but otherwise, it's kind of But I think you get way more drama with some sort of relegation system. I think that's a fantastic way to end it. We should do that in our fantasy league. We should whoever's in the last should get relegated, and we'll have to bring in
Or
somebody else. You have to sit out a year.
oh man.
Let's go. Let's go, boys and girls. Who is down for some high stakes fantasy? Whoever comes in last sits out a season. I'm actually in favor of that. I know it's coming from someone.
Maybe some sort of punishment. I don't know, like buys food at the draft next year. I don't know if we want to kick people out just because they had a couple injured players.
But how intense would that be if you're like, yeah, I got kicked out of my fantasy league, and someone's like, why? It's like, well, I got relegated. Finishing last. I have to sit out a year. But then you'd be itching to come back next year because you'd be like, I got to prove myself. I can't finish in last again.
Oh yeah.
It's probably
There'd be a lot of hurt feelings.
But if you guys want high stakes and you want to raise the stakes a little bit, we could do it, and that would be kind of. And you'd still come back. We'd have you back in the league, of course. Like there'd be no, don't ever feel like, oh, well, we're just kicking you out for good. No, you'd be back next year as soon as whoever finishes in the last again would swap out with you, kind of thing. I'm kind of in favor of that, but we'll see.
Something to explore. Something to explore in the off season.
Or maybe you have to pay. We can figure out something. There's got to be some sort of punishment for last place. Something at stake.
Yeah, I agree.
Let's talk about the one kind of last thing I wanted to discuss was the future World Cup in Qatar. Am I saying that right?
Yeah, perfect.
So I am personally struggling with this. Now, again, my Indian friend, his name's Chetan. He brought to my attention that he might boycott watching the World Cup, and I went, "What? Why?" And he filled me in on all the stuff going on in Qatar with workers being imported from other countries and then being worked to death in order for them to build the stadiums, and then also the amount of bribery that potentially took place in order for them to get a World Cup in the first place, the millions of dollars to bribe FIFA officials. I read that two FIFA officials actually came out saying that it was a mistake to give the bid to Qatar. And I read up a little bit about it, just kind of more general things on more specifics on what was happening to these people from other countries that are coming into work who then are now denied their pay and are being treated as illegal aliens in the country. So now they get arrested if they even try to leave. And I was like, I am morally like wondering myself whether or not I will watch these world. I mean, I want to. There's no doubt in my mind. I love World Cup. I look forward to it every 4 years. But I'm like, dang, the amount of like stuff that went down to get it there. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. But at one point, there was like a worker dying every day from the work that's being done there, and I'm like, I don't know. I'm curious how much you know about it. What are your thoughts? Are you planning on watching it? What are your thoughts on the whole situation?
Just to summarize, I would say I think everyone should research what's going on for sure and be aware and gather as much information as they can, and they should make their own decision whether they want to watch the World Cup, not watch it. I think different causes and everyone has a different moral compass and different idea of stuff they want to boycott. But I think it would be unrealistic if we're just going around and boycotting everything in our everyday lives. So that's just my opinion on it. But yeah, there was a lot of controversy with this, starting in 2010 when they were bidding for both the 2018 and the 2022 World Cups. I remember watching the presentations and going like, wow, what Qatar has is fantastic in theory. If they're able to deliver on all these promises, like air-conditioned indoor pitches was one of them, and like a unique subway system and brand new state-of-the-art stadiums, and they're just promising the world basically. And then there was the American bid, which focused on stability. We have the infrastructure already. We don't need to have like a big workforce come in and build these stadiums because of football. We've held the World Cup in 1994. We're capable of handling yet another one. And so when the voting came around, it was really sketchy as to why Qatar was given 2022. And like you said, there was a lot of reports of bribery coming out. The FIFA president is completely different now. It's no longer Sepp Blatter. It's blanking on his name. He's from Italy. But they reformed the entire bidding process as well. It used to be a small committee of like 30 people voting for the World Cup host. So you could find them and bribe them and coerce them into voting for your country, for your bid. Now every country gets one vote. Doesn't matter who you are, how small you are. If you have FIFA representation, you get one vote for these World Cups. And so there's some controversy with that too, because it could turn into like a political battle between two nations.
Oh yeah, where one country's like, don't vote for this country, vote for this country, you know.
Exactly.
Or maybe pressuring other countries like, hey, you need to vote this way, or sounds like politics.
Exactly. So you go from corruption and bribery to a political battle. It becomes democratic in a way, so I think it's better.
Better for sure.
But then you also don't get a lot of these small countries like, I don't know, Korea and Japan, for example. They hosted a World Cup. I'm not sure if we'll ever see that happen again, just because of the way the voting is structured. Or South Africa in 2010. So there's that, and then there's also I've also read reports too, similar to you, about the migrant workers coming from Nepal, from India, from Southeast Asia even, and being treated horribly. And they said like I remember one report estimates up to 4,000 people are going to die before the first kickoff, which is absolutely horrible. It's also going to be the first World Cup not held in the summertime, as far as I remember.
Yeah,
It's going to
too
be held
hot.
in November, December. I want to say it's selfishly, it's good because it's during the holidays and, it's easy to take time off work and whatnot. But there's a lot of countries that operate the core of their season during that time. Like England has the Premier League run through the wintertime. So what do they have to do? Do they have to reschedule their entire leagues that year, or how's it going to work? Kind of like with the coronavirus now, people don't really know how to structure their schedule around that. And then also, as far as I've heard, the city where the World Cup final is going to be held hasn't even been built yet, and it's like we're like 2 years out. It's supposed to be like an artificially built city, and both the stadium and the surrounding infrastructure has yet to even be started on. So are they going to complete it in time? How are they going to fit all this construction timeline in such a short amount of time? Was that going to mean more people are going to die because they're going to be building these in the heat of the summer in 2022? I don't know. So it's just something to keep an eye on. I definitely encourage everyone to do their research before going out and boycotting something just because it's being promoted. But yeah, it's definitely a sticky situation, and I think as soccer fans we should definitely balance our love for the game with the more responsibility we have to make sure that we're doing the right thing in supporting this World Cup.
Well said.
And in 2026, USA was voted to host. So even if you guys want to sit out 2022,
you know where it's going to be in 2026? Exactly what place in the US?
It's supposed to be in North America. So that means the field is expanded as well. It's going from 32 teams to 48. So the format's completely changing. I have no idea yet what's in store. I've heard rumors that it's going to be groups of 3 with one team getting eliminated right away after 2 games. But there's a whole lot of problems there too that I foresee. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they structure that. I know they're planning to host about 80 of the games in the US and giving Mexico and Canada 10 games each. And then the knockout rounds are going to start from the West Coast and work all the way east. This is the plan. Work all the way east and finish in the Giants Stadium, playing the World Cup final there in East Rutherford, New Jersey, I believe. So that's the plan. I don't know how it's going to materialize. I think Levi Stadium in San Francisco is going to host some games. So
let's go.
I'm looking forward to it. Heck yeah.
Oh my gosh, we're still live by then? It's alive in 6 years, dude. Dude, that sounds awesome. Yes, that's cool. I actually didn't know that. I didn't know anything about that. We had won a bid for a future World Cup, so that's
awesome. It's confirmed. It's all set to go. We have the stadium. I
feel like I'm gonna miss out though because my dream in life has been to see Lionel Messi play live, and that will be too late. He'll be 40 something by then. He'll be out. He won't be playing.
That's true.
So I still have not got to fulfill that dream of getting to, I was so close. So this was about a year ago. They were going to host, Barco was going to come play in LA. And I had my old former youth pastor call me up and he was like, Tim, I was just given tickets to this event in LA. Do you want to go? And I was like, we're going. I get to see Lionel Messi. But then I found out that he had gotten, I think, suspended. He had done, I forget what exactly.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He had went on a rant against the referees after Copa America, and you'd have to see the play where he got red carded. He was a Chilean player. Oh, it wasn't at all. It was a third place game. A Chilean player came up and bumped him a couple of times, and then the referee, just to keep order, red carded both of them. The game didn't really matter. So I don't know. I don't know what was said, or I mean, there can always be things that were said between players. As a referee, you never want to assume, but just from visual inspection, something didn't seem right, and he lashed out at the federation, at the referees, and was handed, I think, 1 month ban, 2 month ban. I don't remember exactly how much, but yeah. So that's what happened with that, and why he wasn't playing.
Killed my chances of getting to see.
I missed out too, though. When Argentina and Chile came to Levi Stadium in 2015, I was living in that area, and I purchased tickets way in advance And this was Copa America, so I was like, okay, for sure the top players are going to be there. And in a friendly game before the tournament against Honduras, Messi gets kneed in the back, and he's out for 2 or 3 weeks. So I remember throughout the game, fans were chanting Messi, Messi. He was there on the bench. He waved to my section, but that's the closest I'll ever get to seeing him play live.
Oh, that's brutal. That's absolutely brutal. I am sorry that
It happens.
occurred.
Wasn't meant to be. Hopefully they come play in the MLS, both Messi and Ronaldo.
Maybe he'll
towards the
want to
end
be
of
on one
his
of my
years.
podcasts, and then he'll hook me up with some tickets.
Yeah, just got to brush up on that Spanish, though. He doesn't speak much English.
I'll bring my translator on. I'll bring my brother on. He'll translate for me.
Nice.
It's
the
so
way to
that
do
actually
it.
is a good transition on. I want to hear a little bit about. This will be probably the last thing before we sign off here on this podcast. You are a soccer referee.
That's right.
I think is really cool. I would love to hear a little bit more about that. What that's like, what the pay is like, what the